Hey there, vinyl junkies. Welcome to your 2-minute vinyl review. I'm your host, Sam the Record Man. This here is number 17. I thought we'd continue with some jazz, maybe make it a jazz week. We'll go to 1971 we'll take a look at Miles Davis's release, Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson is actually a black former heavyweight champion boxer, and they did a soundtrack on him back in the day. So this serves actually as the soundtrack to that documentary, which I haven't seen and which I've kept telling myself I should. Hasn't happened yet. If you guys have a link to that, I would love to watch it. So the record was released in 71, but the bulk of the recordings happened in 70, and there's a little bit of 69 mixed in there as well. Okay, so if you look at the lineup and if you place yourself at where Miles was at the time, did you guys watch the Betty Davis 2-minute vinyl review? I kind of mentioned it there, so here's a connection between that and that review. Okay, Miles was very, very, very heavily into this black music, this fusion of all these styles that were just black and very proud. And this was during the Black Power movement and, basically a direct result of the civil rights movement, which I keep talking about. And I keep talking about how it profoundly affected music, and it did. This here record would work for the rock guys. If you guys are looking for a record that'll remind you of Jimi Hendrix, that's it. The reason that's it is because that's exactly what Miles was listening to, and that's what Miles was going for in terms of the sound. What does it mean? It means that the jazz critics hated it. He didn't want to make it for the jazz critics. He was very specifically going for the young, hip Woodstock crowd. Woodstock was an eye-opener to everybody because hundreds of thousands of people listening to these artists, it's kind of like dollar signs kind of just went off in some artist's eyes, and Miles knew he could do it, and he did. So what does he do? He gets his bassist, Michael Henderson, to play on the Fender bass, and he gets Herbie Hancock to play on the Farfisa organ, and he just adds a whole bunch of Billy Cobham on the drums, which is just beast mode, right? So, and John McLaughlin on the guitar as well. So, I'm going to name all these guys, aren't I? So anyway, what happens is that this session wasn't even necessarily supposed to happen anyway. It wound up happening, and a lot of the riffs that you'll hear John McLaughlin playing on the record are riffs that he worked out while everybody was kind of waiting around to get together. Now, the musician I don't mention is Teo Macero, because Teo Macero is the guy who produced the record, and those Miles fanatics will know that name. When it says produced by Teo Macero, Columbia Records, you're getting the good stuff. But realize that he's a little bit of a Frankenstein monster there in the studio. So he's very much like the member of the band that you never see. Why? Because he edits the music to sound a certain way. So there are parts of this record that were taken from stuff that was actually recorded during the In a Silent Way sessions in 69. And you'll see excerpts of the album In a Silent Way come up in this. And you'll see excerpts from other albums. Teo would do that. And the thing is back then there was no such thing as Pro Tools, right? So they'd take a razor blade and literally cut the tape and splice it together. It's a masterful job. Okay, now like I said, purists, jazz purists for sure, because it's a rock album. And, just purists who think that the studio doesn't count as an instrument will not like this either. But they'd be missing the entire point. It is a beast mode record. I don't know what the situation is with reissues on this, but I would heartily endorse any good reissue of this because mine's an original. You can see it's getting a little ratty. It's got ring wear. I'm done. I hope you enjoyed your review. Did you enjoy your review? Smash that button. I'll get you next time. Let's see about doing another jazz one. Sam the Record Man out. Boom.